Good afternoon, Your Excellency. Good afternoon, distinguished dignitaries here today. A future-forward economy is never accidental. It is engineered intentionally through education, enterprise, creativity, innovation, and of course, access to opportunities. Which is why all that has happened here today shows that Ondo State is more than ready to forge a pathway to prosperity. And of course, the conversation that we're about to have right now is very integral and geared towards designing that pathway deliberately and strategically. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Emanuela Daniel. I am a lawyer, and it gives me great pleasure and privilege to moderate this very crucial panel session. And of course, we have a formidable team of speakers who have come all the way from different parts to indulge in the discourse which we're going to have right now. Our panelists, of course, are powerhouses in their various sectors and their various industries, which cuts across education, entertainment, innovation, banking, and real estate. At this moment, I would now like to bring up on stage our amazing panelists. And of course, for our speakers, once you hear your name, I would like for you to kindly approach the stage and take your seat. Ladies and gentlemen, please, with a resounding round of applause, kindly join me as I welcome our first panelist for this panel session, Mr. John Todd. He is the Director of Education, Charterhouse, Lagos. Please, we can do better than that. Let us celebrate him as he makes his way to the stage. And of course, also joining us on this panel session, we have Dr. Kennedy Okonkwo. He is the founder and CEO of Nedcomox Group. Let us celebrate him, please, as he comes on stage. And of course, the only woman amongst men, Dr. Omotola Jalade Akende MFR. Please let us celebrate her. She is the founder of Red Hot Concept and a globally recognized creative industry leader. Thank you so much. Let us keep clapping till they make their way to their seats. Also joining our panelists is Mr. Jubril Arugundade, Nigeria's automotive industry expert and a strong advocate for industrial innovation. Let us celebrate him as he makes his way to the stage. Last but not the least, we have Mr. Ngozi Onyemuwa and Yogu. He is the Managing Director and CEO of AG Mortgage Bank, PLC. One more time, let's give a resounding round of applause for our amazing panelists here today. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, in the absence of Mr. Okay, he's making his way to the stage. All right. Wow, we have global icons currently on stage with me right now, and I feel absolutely privileged. Thank you so much for taking your time to be here today, of course, to engage in the conversations which we're about to have. So this panel discussion is going to be quite an interactive one. The goal is that all the audience here today is going to be able to gain a lot from all the conversations which we're going to have. So it's going to be a very, very interactive session. Of course, I'll choose the questions, and we'll try as much as possible to keep to the allotted time slot for this particular panel session. In no particular order, I'd like to start with the very distinguished Dr. Kennedy Okonkwo. I mean, being someone who has been in the real estate industry for years and decades, and achieving all you've been able to achieve so far, we would like to know how can smart housing be structured in Ondo State and as a strong economic driver that creates jobs and attracts serious investors? I'd just like to take that one more time. How can smart housing be structured in Ondo State as a strong economic driver that creates jobs and attracts serious investors. The mic is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Dr. Kennedy Okonkwo. I founded a company called Netcom Oaks Group. We own the Victoria Crest brand of estates in Lagos. We own the Citadel Views Estates, Africa's first solar-powered estate. The beauty of real estate is that real estate is not just about housing. Real estate transcends to tourism, transcends to agriculture, transcends to industries, because the bedrock of everything that I just mentioned now is land. And without land, we can't have agriculture, we can't have tourism, we can't have urbanization and everything that we have. Now, when it comes to housing, for you to be able to use smart housing to energize development, you need to build in such a way that it attracts all that is needed to make work-life balance possible. If you have an industrial, park, you don't just build an industrial park, but build the kind of housing institutions that can make live, work, play very easy and quite dynamic. When you build smart homes, you have internet access, you have uninterrupted power supply, you have portable drinking water, you have guaranteed security. So when you are developing satellite towns, you don't just develop them in isolation. You develop them in such a way that it is sensitive to the demography of those that would function within that confine. So you need to ensure that they have portable drinking water. You need to ensure that they have fiber-borne internet access. You need to ensure that they have uninterrupted power supply. But also, most importantly, each time we discuss land and housing, I would always want to say that the bedrock of building prosperous real estate is to make title documentation easy. What government needs to do is to make, policies and ensure that land information management system is deployed across the state. That is what, via GIS mapping. That is what differentiates bankable title and non-bankable title. Because all the corruption that people say exists in land transaction is only possible when states do not have proper land information management system. But the moment you have adequate land information management system, you are able to ensure that the land allocated for port infrastructure is strictly limited to port infrastructure. The land allocated for residential housing is used for residential housing. So it becomes easier. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kennedy, for that. Of course, we can all agree that the housing sector and the real estate sector is one of the most integral and important aspects of the conversations which are going to be held here today. So it does give me great pleasure that Dr. Kennedy is here to break it down for us, of course, in a way that can impact what we're doing here today. Thank you so much. We'll come back to you very, very shortly. But I'd like to go over to Mr. John Todd. Thank you. The question that I have for you is very, very simple. I'd like to know, or we would like to know, how can Ondo State position education, as a global leader in this sector, how can Ondo State position education as a real economic investment that directly drives jobs, innovation, and business growth? The mic is yours.
So, thank you. My name is John Todd. I am the Director of Education at Charterhouse Lagos. It's a $150 million project and the first British independent school in Nigeria. So, one thing we found last year in the first half of 2025 is that about $1.4 billion was sent out of Nigeria for education. And that's a massive amount of money And it's also about the type of students that are leaving Nigeria. And I'm sure there'll be many people in this room who sat down and thought, I have no choice. The quality that I really want isn't here. And so you can look at education on lots of different levels. We have education at the most basic level, and we have elite education as well. And we've come in to fill a gap in elite education, because what we believe is that the young people of Nigeria need to be anchored in their own culture, away from some of the problematic moral values of Western society. My own children's school in London, I don't have a problem with that, but I know for Nigerians it is important. They have a grounding in their own culture, in strong moral values, but they're keen on excellence at every level. So I think there's a number of things that Ondo State can do. The single most important thing is what happens in schools on a day-to-day basis. If you look at the single biggest factor to improve education, it's deceptively simple. It's teachers. The single biggest influence on a child's education is teachers. There's plenty of research out there that proves that is the case. So deceptively simple, okay, let's just improve teacher education. That would make a difference. The problem is so many teachers want to leave. I find it easy to recruit teachers because I pay more. That's a simple economy. We have teachers from Nigeria rushing to London. My advice, never go to London to teach. It's not a great place to teach. The kids are not that well behaved. So we need to look at that whole infrastructure around teacher education, around teacher remuneration. How can we improve the lot of our educators? Because very often, it goes back to something my father once said to me with a smile: those who can do, those who can't teach. And then I became a teacher. Very often our teachers are poorly educated. They simply do not have the skills to deliver a great education. And as a nation, you are trusting your future to people who are often poorly educated. Just look at the CVs I get every week. People who can't even spell properly, who can't write properly. So there's a whole piece there about our basic education, about universities. But if it's a one thing, improve teacher education, improve teacher training, and that will have a very direct impact on what happens in schools on a daily basis.
Thank you so much, Mr. Todd. And of course, what an eye-opening contribution regarding the teacher improvement. Of course, we're looking forward to the private and public partnerships which will be birthed from these conversations in order to be able to produce graduates who are not just graduates on certificates but are also employable and of course have the skill sets to go and engage in entrepreneurship and different other aspects that can contribute significantly to the state's economy. Thank you once again, Mr. Todd. We'll move on now to the beautiful Dr. Omotola Jalade Ekende. I mean, being an icon that you are and one who has made a name for herself in such a powerful name, we would like to know, please, what kind of structured platforms or partnerships should the state build to commercialize and export creative talent globally? I'll just take it one more time. What kind of structured platforms or partnerships do you encourage that the state should build to commercialize and export creative talent globally? Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. All protocols observed, but I most specially greet my king, the Oshemowe. I greet you of my place. It's very amazing to be here today and talk about the subjects of this nature. It has been very, very important to me. As someone who's from Ondo State, who has gone on to do great things globally. I've always wondered why, knowing fully well that we have some of the brightest entertainers from Ondo State operating in Lagos, operating on the world stage, that has taken this long to actually bring us here. It's too long. It starts now. Okay, sir. So for us to position Ondo State on the global stage, we will need to first tap into the people who are already doing that. And we have very, very bright and important people in the industry that are from Ondo State. I think we need to first rally them, we need to talk to them and tap into their knowledge and their experience. Now, structurally, this state is very, very pivotal to Nigeria's economy. We have the coastal line that we have talked about today. Thank you for that MOU that was signed. That opens up our state to the world. This is the same thing Lagos had, and that was what they used as their power. Ondo has it too. We should not be playing second fiddle. So what we need to build is a film village. And who says we cannot have something like, thank you. You want that, don't you? A very good film village. Our governor, our past governor, former governor, Donald Duke, tried to do that in Calabar with Tinapa. I think if it was done in Ondo State, it would have done better. So it's about time we had that here. And why can't we even make it a theme park? You know? Not just a film village, a theme park. So we have something like the Universal Studios. Something that supports not just film, but lifestyle, tourism. This will bring everyone in the world to Ondo State and tap into the great tourism that we have here. Idonre Hills, so many things, the Kogosi waterfalls. We have amazing, amazing things here that the world needs to see. And I think that what entertainment does to us, or what entertainment does for us, is opens up what we have to the world. Film, music, comedy, and the likes. Another thing that Ondo State can do is tax reforms. When Los Angeles, where I live now, took over the entertainment industry in America, a very smart Georgia decided, we're just going to win them with tax reforms. And you know what they did? They drew everybody to ATL. So now, because it's so expensive to shoot in Los Angeles, your next other place where you would want to go shoot, because they will match your dollar for dollar, as a filmmaker, you're always looking for that, is Atlanta. I think Ondo State can do that and steal everything from Lagos. So that's the second thing that I think we need to look into. And the third will be the young people of Ondo State. I get a lot of mails, a lot of messages from young people from Ondo State. I'm from Ondo, I need help, I need you to bring me into the entertainment industry. It is very tough. I'm in Lagos, how do I bring you here? I have to accommodate you and all of that. But we can begin to bring productions here. So if a production is happening, especially by those people who are actually from Ondo State, some kind of incentive, some kind of thing to just, draw them in. Every filmmaker or so is always looking for some kind of incentive. Let them come shoot those productions here. And so that way, the young people of Ondo State get a first-hand opportunity to be in this project, thereby exposing them to the global economy. So I think these are the major ways that I have been able to identify that we can take Ondo State into the global stage entertainment-wise.
Thank you so, so much. I think that was definitely an awakening speech from the beautiful Dr. Omotola. Of course, the potentials that exist in Ondo State are limitless, and it's up to us to tap into those potentials and leverage on them to be able to place the state on the global map. Thank you so much once again. We'll move on right away without any further delays to Mr. Jubril Arugundade. And of course, the question which will be coming to you is also very, very simple, and it borders on your specific industry. The question that I have for you is, what must Ondo State put in place, policy, infrastructure, or incentives to become a leading hub for electric mobility and automotive manufacturing? The mic is yours.
Thank you very much, moderator. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for this opportunity to speak on this panel. And of course, thank you so much, the organizers of this summit. While we're on the way to Ondo this morning, I was asking myself a question. We're talking about mobility and what is the population of Ondo State? A state that is about 5 million people, you would know that mobility is important. And we're also looking at a state where 50% of the population are very young people. And moving young people these days needs to be creatively done. You cannot move people like the way we moved them in 1960, right? The young people want to be able to move from one point to the other using very affordable and energy-saving, mobility to move. And that's why I'll be speaking on the areas that I think the state should take actions on to be able to open up the state for investment in the automobile space and especially the green energy and EV space. First of all is clarity, right? The state needs to be very clear on the strategy on how to invite investors to the state. Investors, they are not actually afraid of risks. They are only afraid of uncertainty. When they don't know exactly what's going to happen in the next 10 years in the state, they don't want to put their money there. So the state needs to be very clear in this regard. Secondly is the capability. We don't need to talk about that because we have a very lucky governor, as is mentioned today. We have a governor that is very, serious about investment and drawing investment, especially foreign direct investment to Ondo State. So I believe that capacity will not be an issue. The third is competency. My sister just mentioned about tax, related matters. New companies and industrial organizations need to know that when they come to Ondo State to invest, they have some kind of tax holiday, tax incentive. For example, there's a policy for the EV in Nigeria now on duty, right? You have zero duty when you have the approval to be able to bring EV into the country. So Ondo needs to position itself as the state, especially with the new port project that is going on, automatically helps us to be able to bring equipment and these vehicles here as semi-knockdown products. And we can assemble this product here in Ondo State. We don't have to go anywhere else. And we can use Ondo as the hub. Lagos is saturated already. If you bring a car into Lagos port, for you to ship that car to Ondo State, Osun State, and the likes, you will spend a lot of money. But when you manufacture those vehicles here, I'm talking from two-wheelers, e-bikes, three-wheelers, four-wheelers, and even trucks. When you manufacture them here in Ondo State, you'll be able to supply those vehicles to neighboring states within Ondo State, and of course, bring income to Ondo State. And finally, we cannot talk about Ondo State without having a case study. Which other country or state in the world has the same population as Ondo and has been able to change their own industry or economy, driving renewable energy conversation and EV conversation? I would use Norway as an example. Norway has a population of about 5 million as well, just like Ondo State, right? And using hydropower, wind, solar, and bioenergy, Norway has been able to create an industry of about $7 billion annually from just EV business, green energy. So that means that we are not just talking about Ondo State being strategic for this conversation. We are saying Ondo State is sitting on an investment of $6 billion revenue generated by a state only from EV and renewable energy. So my advice is that the governor and the team should please take this industry very seriously. There's so many young people in the states, meaning that we have young people that can learn different skills within this industry. So it's an entirely new industry for automobile, and it's waking up a new future for Nigeria. So I congratulate the state government, and I wish that we can have more discussion after this panel to actually not just speak, but execute. Thank you.
Thank you so, so much, Mr. Jibril. Of course, those were insightful contributions from you. We've touched on real estate, education, entertainment, innovation, and of course, it is now time for us to hear from the banking and housing sector. And for that, we have Mr. Ngozi Onyemuwa over here. So the question that I have for you, Mr. Ngozi, how can financial institutions like AG Mortgage Bank help translate government policy in Ondo State into real, bankable, and profitable investment opportunities? The mic is yours. Thank you.
Thank you again. Thank you very much. Mortgage banks are simply aggregators. They bring together funding and those who are in need of houses and create a platform for them to be homeowners. We did a simple, worked on some numbers for Ondo State, just as I was coming here. With 5 million population and a housing need of approximately 1 million, we looked at the numbers and felt that the gap, the housing gap in Ondo State is about 200,000. About 200,000. And if you take, to close that gap, you build 200,000 houses. Not in 1 year, it will be spaced. We are looking at a $5 trillion opportunity. It is not a social scheme. It is a fiscal reality for Ondo State to have the opportunity of a $5 trillion business within the next 5 to 10 years. So how could that be achieved? AG Mortgage Bank, like I said, mortgage banks are aggregators. We'll be ready to work with the state government to bring together developers that have been properly profiled. Incidentally, I think I saw on the screen the REDAM president. If he's still here, I greet you, my president. So we bring together tested, profiled, accredited developers that will form a partnership with the state. And also, we will bring in DFIs, development finance institutions, that are there to finance housing, along with government intervention agencies. Incidentally, AG Mortgage Bank was the first bank to draw. When I say bank, I don't just mean PMBs. I mean of all banks, to draw on the MREIF. And the MREIF today is the cheapest window for mortgage, for house ownership in Nigeria. We were also the first bank to draw on the Family Homes Fund rent to own. We have been able to aggregate developers, bring in off-takers to do over 10 billion, or over 15 billion with those two institutions. These are the values we can bring to Ondo State. We can also help you profile, AG Mortgage Bank will help profile the off-takers, those who are in need of homes in Ondo State. Incidentally, my daughter is married here, so I have an interest in Ondo State. So we do that profiling. One thing you will notice is that once you have profiled off-takers who are ready and willing and have the capacity to buy and own homes, the development finance institutions are always ready and willing to bring funds. The problem is where you don't have buyers. But because of the elite status of Ondo State, I happen to know a bit of them. A lot of them who are abroad, I mingle with them, they are ready and willing to come invest in houses in the state. We are already cultivating some of them through the interactions we've had with my in-laws and all that. So it is work in progress for AG Mortgage Bank and Ondo State to work together to aggregate home ownership, to aggregate financing, that's funding, to bring together developers that are trusted and worthy, because trust is in deficit in the real estate sector. But because we had worked with a couple of these developers over time with Redan, we can say to the state government, these are people you can work with. And the other thing we need for the state government to do is land titling. There must be a deliberate incentive for people to deal in land in Ondo State. And that will be the result, that will be triggered by transparent titling. Not only is it transparent, it's also the turnaround time should be improved. If you promise developers or homeowners that in 90 days they will get the title to their land transaction, that will be one of the best in the country. I give you an example.
Thank you so much. The Managing Director and CEO of AEG Mortgage Bank, due to the fact that we're pressed with time, would like to conclude this panel session now. Thank you so much for your contributions. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, let us give our amazing panelists a resounding round of applause for their contributions here today. I'm sure you would all agree with me that it has been a profound and impactful session. Thank you all so much. We appreciate your time today. We'd like to conclude the session with brief pictures, and of course, we can take our leave. Thank you so much. Another round of applause for our panelists, please. Thank you.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, once again, let us give our panelists a round of applause. Thank you.